Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner with us today. Something unique about my guest is he's a cyclist and has ridden the Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride. There's an acronym that I decided to just say the whole word out loud, so I didn't mess up the acronym. That is takes part in Iowa. And he's been doing that for the last 3 years. The ride itself is about 450 miles across 7 days, with at least one day being 100 miles. Wow. We're going to ask him about that here in a minute. In his downtime, he enjoys playing with his grandkids and riding his bike, obviously, because you got to train for something crazy like that. And he's most proud of his kids being productive citizens. It's my pleasure to welcome Steve to the show today. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself. So give us your full name and tell us a little bit of your personal story, like where you were born and live and about your family.
My name's Steve Shoultz. I was born in Hopedale, Illinois, a town of about 800 people.
Hmm.
So probably one of the smallest hospitals there is in the country. And grew up in a small town called Delavan, town of about 1,800 people. Went to college at Illinois State, graduated, went out to Phoenix, Arizona, went to work for an insurance company, got transferred back here to Indianapolis. I've been in Indianapolis for the last 32 years. I've got a lovely bride named Emily, and we have 4 kids, ranging in age from 40. Oh my, didn't realize it was 40 already. She'll be 40 in November, so she's not quite 40. And my youngest just turned 32.
Fantastic. So you had them when you were like 12?
I wish. Most people are retired at my age, but I don't know. I kind of believe if you retire, you go away and die. So I'm not ready to die.
So 450 miles, Steve. Tell me, how'd you get into that?
Well, I got diagnosed as pre-diabetic about 10, 15 years ago, and I always rode my bike as a kid.
Hmm.
I rode my bike all through college. I didn't have my first car until after I graduated from college.
Okay.
And so I always enjoyed riding my bike. And I thought, well, the doctor tells me to lose some weight and exercise. So I started riding. And sooner or later, I started looking for challenges.
Hmm.
So the first thing I did was I rode across Indiana, the rain ride. It's 160 miles in one day from Terre Haute to Richmond. And my wife went to the University of Iowa and she said, hey, you ought to do the Ragbri ride. So I looked that up, and it's basically, you ride 60 to 100 miles a day for 7 days, but it's kind of like a traveling, I don't want to say circus, county fair. They
Okay.
have food trucks. There's concerts every night
Oh,
that,
wow.
that the towns have. You go through a lot of towns that are 3,000 people or less.
Uh-huh.
There's anywhere from 30 to 60,000 people on the ride.
Wow.
And so you overwhelm these small Iowa towns. One of the things I love is I tell my family, my cell phone's not going to work. The cell towers are overloaded.
Uh-huh.
So you don't get cell service until about 1 a.m. in the morning. And when you're getting up at 5 a.m. to ride, you're not trying to talk on the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're not checking emails too much either.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a break away from the world. And, you ride all day long. You have a couple of beers, you go to bed, you get up the next morning, and you do it all over again. So it's a good time.
Rag Bri Rye. I'm glad I didn't try to pronounce that on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, RAGBRAI registers annual Great Bicycle Ride across Iowa. That's just the acronym. It's the first initial.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Steve, tell us, is there a funny story that your family likes to share about you that you're willing to tell us today?
Well, unfortunately, they do. They really love to talk about when my daughter got married. We were having a good time, and the song came out, "Shut Up and Dance with Me." So, I danced with my daughter-in-law, I danced with my girls, I danced with my wife. Uh, so they played it several times at the reception so they could get the old man up dancing because I don't dance very often.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So, Steve, tell us, how did the business come about, and at what point did you have the confidence you could run your own business?
Well, now that's funny because until I opened the business, I had every confidence in the world that I could run the business. Amazingly enough, fast forward a year or 2 years later, and now all of a sudden the fear starts to creep in. So It took me about 10 or 12 years to actually open the business. I kept trying, I kept going to the professional insurance agents and marketing reps for insurance companies. That professional insurance agents is an association for independent insurance agents.
Okay.
And that's where you get advice and stuff. And I spoke to marketing reps about every 3 years. They gave me a different thing that I needed to do in order to get appointed. And I had to join a mastermind group of agency owners before I could get my first appointment and actually open the agency.
Wow. Yeah. So I love what you just said, in terms of the confidence was there to begin with, and then we go through a bunch of things and shakes that up a little bit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah. So we'll get into a little bit more about that here in a couple of questions, but tell us a little bit more about the company. So what's the name? What do you guys do? How do you help people?
We're Priority Risk Management. We're an independent insurance agent. We do auto, home, life, business insurance. We are about 40% business insurance and 60% personal lines. We can do group benefits. I mean, Medicare supplements. If you need insurance, we can offer it. We can sell it. So we are up to 18 employees now. 5 are in the Philippines,
Okay.
what we call virtual employees. The
Mhm.
rest are stateside. We have 3 locations, one in South Bend, Indiana. Our home office is here in Fishers, and we have another office in Columbus, Indiana. And we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. While we opened on August 1st, we're celebrating it with a ribbon cutting ceremony next Tuesday here in Fishers with the mayor.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, I know you'll appreciate this because you just sort of talked about it in the last answer. So, we know that successful businesses get stuck at various stages of their growth journey. So, tell us about one of your biggest challenges throughout the years, and maybe somebody who came alongside you and helped you through it.
Well, boy, I think the first challenge that owners come across is the first time you scale, the first time you hire an employee.
Yeah.
And so it takes you a while. It took me about 3 hires before I realized that I'm doubling my efforts or even greater by hiring somebody. So that was probably the first challenge. I think probably the greatest challenge was after we started to scale, we needed a CRM in order to keep track of our sales and our service
Yeah.
and just keep track of all the daily items that you need to do in the insurance business. And I think any business. So we hired a company, Lava Automation. I think we're his 3rd customer.
Okay.
And I told him I really didn't want to hire on with him because all you tech companies bring somebody on like me because you'll sell to anybody to get yourself up and off running because he was still an insurance agent at the time.
Okay.
And I said, but boy, as soon as you become a little bit successful, you keep raising your rates and you're going to be more expensive than I can afford. And he made a promise that he'd never raise my fees, and he has not.
Wow.
And
Wow.
as a result, I felt like I've owed him loyalty back. And boy, we refer him every chance we can. And he tells me to this day now he's had more customers than he ever could have made by raising my fees a little bit.
That's awesome. I love that. Just the fact that what you're saying there in terms of scaling, and so oftentimes as businesses grow, and they often will grow beyond, right, the owner's capacity, right, and so
Yeah,
the solution is hiring or processes to help automate. So
yeah,
both of the things that you shared is you did both, right? You brought on some processes and some discipline and some organization as well as some team members. So
yeah. I
um
think it's the same for every business, scaling and hiring,
yeah.
recruiting, hiring, and training. I think every business has that struggle.
And part of that struggle, you mentioned about doubling or tripling, right? So part of the challenge comes in, usually the owner, once they figure some things out, they have all that knowledge in their head, but it's not written out to be able to train somebody else to be able to do it, right? And then oftentimes what I'll hear is, well, it's just easier if I do it myself because I've tried hiring and they just can't do it as well as me. But And then I'll be like, well, how much of that information that you're wanting them to do have you written out into a process or a document? Like, oh, none. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you expect them to know everything that's in your head?
That's kind of like the way we raise kids. You're just supposed to know.
Right? So, Steve, I'm gonna put you on the spot here and ask you to pick three people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them and what they've done in terms of helping with your business growth. So, who are those three people and how they help you?
Well, I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to give you three that come from family.
Uh-huh.
So first is my wife,
Yeah.
because I opened Priority Risk Management on August 1st, and we took our oldest child to IU on August 10th. So who lets their husband quit their job and go to no income when you're taking your first of four kids to college? Number two is my mom. She started as my service rep from the beginning.
Hmm.
And like moms, at least like my mom was, she didn't charge me anything.
Yeah.
Of course, she told me then that way she could do the tasks that she wanted to do, not necessarily the ones I wanted her to do, but she was a great help. And then my son Mark keeps me young and keeps me engaged in the business. And so that's really, I couldn't do the business without those three.
Yeah.
And two of them were in the business, or Mark's in the business still. And then the other two would be Austin Moorhead from Lava Automation that helped us with our CRM and first got me looking at policies and processes, like you were saying, get it out of your mind and onto paper.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is there's a mentor I have, Mark Rogers of Trailstone Insurance in Colorado. We've swapped lots of ideas back and forth, and I guess he's who I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, awesome. I love the different variations of guests that we have on the show to get around the three rule. So I haven't had your version yet, so I'm gonna thank you. I add you to the list of unique and creative ways to get to three.
Well, business owners want to do it their way, not your way.
I love it. So, Steve, the path to building a successful business has a lot to do with mindset. So, for folks who are listening, what's one of the biggest learnings that you've had as part of your business owner journey?
It's in a phrase: launch, fail, learn, fix.
Hmm.
So I don't want to take credit for that. I don't know where I stole that from, but I stole it. And, at an early age, my mom taught me it's okay to fail.
Hmm.
You just need to learn from it and go on. And my business coach says there are no failures, there's only wins and lessons.
Yes,
And so I think, like you said, your attitude and your mindset is really key.
I love it. Yes, yeah. The fail forward, fail often. Right? There's
Yeah.
no failing. There's just learning. It's so important to continue to remind ourselves of that, because there'll be times where we get caught up in something, right? And we have the messages going off in our head of
Yeah.
we failed or we screwed something up. It's like, no, we're just learning how to be a better version of ourselves and create a better business.
Well, I make lots of mistakes, but I'll tell you, not making a decision is a decision.
Yeah.
And I've learned that when you don't make the decision or you procrastinate, that's a bigger mistake than
Absolutely.
acting quickly and it being wrong that you can correct quickly.
Yeah.
So,
You can't iterate something that's in your head, right? You can iterate and course correct and improve something that you've launched.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. What piece of advice, Steve, or guidance would you have for a business owner who's either feeling stuck or discouraged in their business?
Well, I've hired a business coach.
Hmm.
Um, and with that, it's a coaching program and there's a mastermind. And I've been in masterminds before. And I hope every industry, I know there's several of them in the insurance industry. I know my accountant is in a mastermind group, but I would find a coach and or a mastermind group, so that you can pick the brains of other people that are in a similar position as you. And, there's something that makes you feel good when you hear three other business owners say, I have this problem, and you're thinking in your mind, man, I got that problem too.
Yes.
And then you can pick the brains of them, and the coach does a good job of doing it on an individual basis with you, and when you're together in the group, bringing it out of everybody that's in the group.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because there both types of formats have benefit. Uh,
Yes.
and at the same time, the, the if you only pick one, they can't necessarily do the same as what both do. So, right, like a a peer group, right, isn't going to necessarily hold you accountable and right and make sure that you're developing your plan and right and give you the kick in the butt when you need the kick in the butt, right? That a coach
Yeah.
will, right? And yes, from a mindset standpoint, hearing that other business owners are having similar struggles or in similar places is it gets out of that paradigm of I think I'm the only one that's failing here and everybody else has got it all together. And it's not true, but we can get ourselves caught in those
Yeah.
lies in our head. Yeah.
It's also great when somebody says, I've been through that, Steve,
Mm,
and this is what I did and what worked.
yes.
And so I tell my team all the time, I don't have an original thought in my brain, but I'm egotistical enough to think that I can improve everybody else's idea. So you tweak it to fit your business and your personality.
Absolutely. I love that. Steve, as you think about the next year, where is an area that either you're feeling stuck or that you know you need to sort through in order to achieve your long-term goals?
Oh, well, that's real simple. That's in recruiting, hiring, and training.
Mm,
So we have new salespeople, so we need to train those,
yeah,
and we need to hire more salespeople. So recruiting and hiring,
yeah.
um, I think that's key, and that's where we're going to scale next.
Hmm.
Is from 4 salespeople, we've got 3 different offices. We should have 10 salespeople in all 3 offices. So that's quite a bit to grow from 4 to 30.
It is, yes. I love that big, hairy, audacious goal, and that you've got an understanding of the next steps to start working towards that. Very cool.
Well, we hope.
What's that phrase? What's that saying about hope?
I don't know, but it's kind of like a bird in the hand or 2 in the bush.
Yes. I think our version is, hope is a goal without a plan or something like that, where,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I have heard that before.
So, last question, Steve. Jim Rohn, a great business guru, he once said that we become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So, as you think about that quote, what advice do you have for business owners who maybe are feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, and they're trying to figure it all out on their own?
Well, I really believe in that, and I raised my teenagers on that. Is you need to surround yourself. 5 people that are closest to you need to be the people that you want to become, or
Mm,
people that you're proud of.
mm,
And so I think that goes right back to the mastermind. So picking the mastermind and the coach is key, because if you pick peers that are too far above you, too high of a level, and they don't want to discuss with you.
yeah.
So you need to get the business owners that are the next step above you. Just realize that what you want to do is surpass them. You want to get up to
Yes.
them, and
Yes.
you want to go to the next level after them, or at least go with them to the next
Yes.
level.
Yes.
So it kind of has to constantly change.
And I've heard this a lot, and would love to hear your perspective of it. Of well, hey Tim, I don't want to reach out to other people because I'm smaller than them, and they're not going to give me the time of day. So, what's been your experience in terms of asking business owners who are above you for guidance or tips or wisdom?
Well, I found most people are definitely willing to give you at least one phone call.
Mm,
And so then I think if you thank them properly, and I think it's kind of like with my kids. I tell my kids, they're all adults now, they're all making their own decisions. It's okay to come and ask me for my advice. You
mm,
can use some of it, all of it, or none of it.
yeah.
But if you come too many times and you use none of it, don't come. And I think that's the way a lot of business owners are, is if you're going to take my time, then go implement
Mm.
what I told you to implement. And if you're not going to take my advice and do something with it, then don't waste my time calling back. So I think the other thing that I guess I'll say is because I'm older, I'm 65, and I have no intentions of retiring at this point. But as I get older, I feel like the insurance industry has been good to me. I've had a good life. I've done a lot of people have done a whole lot more, but I've been comfortable, and I kind of feel a sense of giving back.
Yeah.
And I tell my young salespeople, you don't understand when you go call on that business owner that's 50, 55, a lot of times they'd rather give a young kid a 25 or 30 a shot as opposed to the 50-year-old salesperson. And you're thinking the 50-year-old salesperson's got 30 years of experience on you and they're going to mop you up. So I think that's kind of key to realize that I think most people are good-hearted, good-natured people, and they want to help.
You said it a different way, but the idea of paying it forward, I've heard and experienced that, hey, you know, when I was first starting out, somebody helped me and answered my phone call and
Yeah,
gave me some tips. So, I wanna share my wisdom and experience with the next generation, right? So
yeah,
if somebody does, if they're brave enough to give me a call, I'm gonna give them time and answer some of their questions.
yeah. So I'd encourage everybody, pick up the phone and call the guy you want to be like.
Mhm.
Take them to lunch.
Yeah, I love that image that you put in my head of, aspire to be like somebody ahead of you and then get them on the phone or get them to lunch or, let
Yeah,
let that wisdom rub off on us.
yeah.
So, when you think about your journey, you've experienced a ton. Um, what's the thing that you would tell the newer aspiring business owner or entrepreneur who's batting it around in terms of determining if they want to go it on their own?
Well, I've had several conversations with people that have thought about that.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, doing it on your own, although you can't ever do it all on your own, you need help.
Yeah.
But to go out and start your own business and do things the way that you think need to be done, what a great gratification when you succeed.
Hmm.
And um, and if you don't succeed, well, hey, you gave it your best, and I don't want to go through life with regrets.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing is when you put your whole heart and soul into it, I don't think too many people fail,
Yeah.
you know?
I love the you talked about regrets. That was one of the things my wife asked me when I was contemplating starting a business. And she said, "Hey, Tim, you've been talking about wanting to own a business for as long as I've known you. If you don't do it now, when right the stars are aligned, in 5 years from now, will you look back and regret it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And she said, "Well, then there's your answer."
That's a great question. You have a wise wife.
So, Steve, I know you mentioned that your son's in the business, and so would love your thoughts on that in terms of, first generation to second generation and the transition and succession planning. What thoughts do you have for businesses that are listening that have, family members in the business that they're looking to pass the baton to?
Well, I love it. I love seeing my son grow and mature and become a better business owner, become a better leader. It just makes me so proud. I think he's going to far surpass anything that I've done. I think he's much better in almost all areas of his life than me. And so I think we always want our kids to do better than us.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt he's going to do that. Now, I say that it also is nice. Just the other day, he told me, he said, "Dad, you don't know how much I respect your opinion
Oh.
and how much I strive to emulate you." Now, that was after we'd had a tough discussion where I said, "Hey, you've been dismissing my opinion too much." So, I don't know. I just go for it. I just love being in business with my son.
I've seen with other family businesses where it becomes important to put some definition or some guardrails in terms of these are business, business conversations versus family conversations, or right. That some companies have even right? They won't call each other, son or dad in the business to help, further differentiate the types of conversations that are happening. Have you experienced any of that within your business?
Well, early on when he came into the business, I told him one time, I said, hey, not only am I your dad, but I own the business and I'm up here and you're below me.
Yeah.
You're not going to manage me. So he's done a very good job of not trying to manage me since that. It's funny when we go to family dinners, a lot of times we start talking business. And so the family will say, they put the guardrails on. All right, no business at the dinner table or at the party or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has to work through those types of things. There's times where he refused to call me dad, and it was really weird to hear him call me Steve.
Yeah.
But he talked about so he calls me dad now that he's older, and when he was younger, he called me Steve. So I think that more was to do with the fact that he didn't want to be perceived as this young man that doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And now he's built the confidence to know that, hey, I'm old enough. I'm a businessman, and it's okay for me to say my dad. That's who he is.
Oh, that's
and I
awesome.
think that's something that each family needs to work through. And it might change with the type of business you're in.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. We're a very laid back type of business. So dad fits in.
You mentioned the hierarchy and so yeah, having definition of the reporting relationships and roles and responsibilities, right? Especially in family businesses, right? To know
Yeah.
who gets the final call and who reports to who and who's responsible for what. Because if you don't have that clarity and everybody's trying to do everybody else's job, and when it's, especially if it's family members, it can get very clunky and confusing.
Well, I think it gets more confusing with family members, but I don't think it's any different than if Mark was not related to me.
Sure.
You're passing on that responsibility, and I've given him decision-making authority, officially, in the beginning I gave him, hey, you can spend money on anything you want up to a certain amount.
Yep.
And now it's been more of, hey, you can make a decision anytime you want. And I felt like he would ask me for my opinion more.
Yeah.
And I felt like he kind of overstepped things. That's why we had the conversation about, hey, you're dismissing my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I had to relay that back down that, hey, it's still my business, and tough decisions
Sure.
I need to be a part of.
Yeah.
And I've told him I've never really overruled him. I don't feel like.
Yeah.
But that's something, I remember I had a business owner, a client that had his son-in-law in the business, and the son-in-law was 55 years old, and he couldn't make a decision on whether he was going to buy the insurance or not, while his father-in-law's in Florida and hadn't been in the office in a year.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, man, how can you be 55 years old and you can't make a simple decision like that? So that's made an impression on me that I've let my son make those decisions.
Yeah.
But it's funny, one time he said to me, Dad, I want to wait till I'm 45 to own the business. And I looked at him and I said, well, you go back into history and you see what age your dad started the business at.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I suppose that's different for every business.
I think so. And each individual as well. And I think the most important thing is what you're saying is having the clarity, right? Having the conversations, having the structure or the discipline or the hierarchy mapped out and roles and responsibilities mapped out so that there's nothing left to be ambiguous about, right? That it's clear and that you're having dialogue and talking about it so that nobody doesn't understand what's happening.
Well, good marriages, good relationships, personal, business, whatever, it all comes down to communication. And so if you're communicating, setting up roles is communication.
Absolutely.
But communication's key.
So, Steve, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people that have been part of your business journey. If they were all here on the show today, what would you want to say to them?
Thank you. Thank for everything you've done to help me and to help the business. And couldn't have done it without every one of them.
Fantastic. Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to BeMadTogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.